Okay, it's March 3rd, 2018, and I just wanted to follow on from last week's video, which was talking about how the New World Order has manipulated events for the last 100 years to bring us where we are today. And I'm just going to elaborate on how they do that. One of the tools that they use to achieve that is something called false flags. But before we do that, let's just talk about the pyramid of power. And so you can understand what it is to be able to question your government without feeling unpatriotic, because your government has been hijacked a long time ago. It goes from the Archontic Empire down to the Rockefeller Rothschild cabal that runs Big Pharma, Big Oil and the banking system. Then it's the world government. So your government, my government head is just a puppet. That's all they are. I mean, of course, they're the well-rewarded, powerful people, but they're not, the top of the pyramid. So the fact that they've been hijacked allows you to question it without feeling unpatriotic. Okay, so what is a false flag event? Well, it's normally a terrorist attack, which is then blamed on an opposition government in order to justify war or imposing further sanctions. It's also done with the intent of stripping citizens' rights in the name of security. Of course, it's never phrased like that, but essentially that's what's happening. Because what you've got to understand is these attacks that take place, they're orchestrated and perpetrated by the deep state. It's not the lone gunman or the lone bomber. If it is, it's been aided by these guys. Now you understand that it's the deep state that we're questioning here, not government per se. That will hopefully alleviate any guilt you have of being unpatriotic. Because again, I've got to repeat myself many times, it's not unpatriotic to question a system that is enslaving you. So let's look at the history. I mean, World War I and II were what we learned in history class, and that is significant. Why? Because history is just his story. There's plenty of documents now that tell us why we went into these wars. I won't go into it now because I want you to Google it. I mean, we'll be here all day if we go into every single one, but they're not what we were taught in school. Let's fast forward to Operation Northwoods. Now, this was a false flag event that didn't happen. It was supposed to take us to war with Cuba. They wanted a plane shot down. They wanted a gunman on the streets of America shooting into crowds to blame on Cuba. That was one of the reasons, Kennedy was killed, because he kiboshed that. Also, Gulf of Tonkin, talking about Kennedy, that was a false flag to get us into the Vietnamese War. Fast forward to 9/11. That happened for a number of reasons. As with Cuba, they needed to install a Rothschild bank in Iraq and in Afghanistan. And a number of reasons. I mean, they all have many, many reasons. Another reason 9/11 happened was to roll out the Patriot Act, which is what I mentioned before about taking people's rights away without them really understanding that it's not in the name of security. It's just to control the people easier. Now, a lot of people are emotional about that, with good reason, of course, because they think, well, how could that be an inside job? Who could kill innocent people like that? But what you have to understand, that the people we're dealing with here are not the same as me and you. They do not have empathy. Again, on another video, we can delve into why that is. But if I mention it now, it's too far-fetched. I'm going to lose some of the newbies here that I'm not fully au fait with, the ways of the world. And I want to do these for dummies videos, so it breaks it down really simply, and it's palatable without it being overwhelming. So Again, if you got questions, we'll go into it. If you want another video specifically, we'll delve into it. But that's what I'm trying to tell you. Don't gauge what people are doing with what you will do. Um, collateral damage to them is just perfect. They get energy. They are energized by death and destruction. So after 9/11, what do we have? I mean, there's so many. It's really hard to pinpoint them all, but let's do the big ones like Bataclan, like 7/7, Boston bombing, Sandy Hook, the Vegas shooting, Manchester one, the Manchester Evening News one, and I have family there, and so I actually had a family member there on that evening, and she's too young to understand yet. So, and I don't mean to sound that, to sound patronising, but she's not. I've already spoke to her, and she's not willing to understand that it was perpetrated by the deep state. There's too many surveillance cameras around for this to be a random, a lone gunman, a lone perpetrator. They just, I mean, figure the cameras that should have been around the Pentagon that was never released. The cameras are at the Las Vegas shooting. They're not, surveillance cameras are not to protect you from terrorism. They're there to protect the 1% from you. Another thing that's kind of consistent with this is the perpetrator, or the purported perpetrator, is known to the secret services. If it's over here, Lee Harvey Oswald was on the radar, because of his record. A lot of people have mental health issues, and there is a tool called MK Ultra, which is a big proponent of this. Going off at tangents here, so bear with me. I'm just trying to make sense of all this, or should I say, have this make sense for you, because the guys, I mean, picture that. Boston bombers, the Vegas guy, Sandy Hook, the recent bomber, the recent guy in Florida, they're all known to our FBI. I mean, if it's in Europe, it's MI5, MI6, Interpol, Mossad, you know what I mean? They're always on the radar, or they're always there as being interviewed, right? But why weren't they ever monitored since? The reason being is they're easily manipulated. If they have got some kind of mental instability, again going back to Lee Harvey Oswald, they can manipulate them in such a way where they become the patsy for the event. Now, the Florida guy last week, there's many eyewitnesses that saw multiple shooters. Same in Vegas. And so why is the official narrative always different than eyewitness reports? It's just, when you've been researching it a while, you can see through all the holes, but unfortunately the masses can't. They just lap it up. They're fed an official narrative, and that's enough for them. They'll believe it. I don't get it. I'm just perplexed as to the apathy. I mean, it's just another aspect of false flags. There's always a drill going on. Again, people think, well, it's coincidence. There's a drill going on for a school shooting. There's a drill going on for a plane hitting a building. I mean, think about what you're ready to believe just because the mainstream media tells you to. The reason they have drills is so they can have agents on the ground just in case something's going amiss, that they can organise better. Another clue is crisis actors. Yes, they actually employ people to feign injury, and to spout rhetoric in front of a camera in the form of, I saw this, I saw that. Again, if you're looking at this out of context, it seems unreasonable, it seems far-fetched, but it, all the clues are there. If you're willing to look for them, if you're ready to look for them, then that's all there is. I mean, it's hidden in plain sight. Um, so the next time, you know, an event takes place, please look at it differently. Please look for the clues. Was the perp known to the FBI? Was there a drill on the day? Um, what are they trying to tell me? Do they want to take your guns away? Do they want to instill more fear in you so they can go to war with someone? I mean, you know, we're coming to the stage where they're antagonizing Russia, they're antagonizing Syria. I mean, they've been doing that for a while. North Korea and even China. So if you don't get on board with this, you're going to accept the fact that your government wants to have a World War III. It's as simple as that. I mean, you know, all I'm saying is just in the age of the internet, ignorance is a choice. Please Google false flag events, Gulf of Tonkin false flag, crisis actors false flag 9/11, and you'll be amazed at what you find.